This is Lemmy with RevZilla, here to talk to you today about La Rosa saddlebags and tool rolls. You should be checking out a La Rosa saddlebag or tool roll for your bike if you're looking to bring some shit along with you. Now, when it comes down to this stuff, depending on what item it is you see up here, some of it might be very specific, like some of these saddlebags are made for a model of motorcycle. Typically, La Rosa is pushing stuff for Harleys. And then there's also some more universal items, like these saddlebags you can see up here and the tool rolls we're going to discuss in just a little bit. In either respect, check out their entire page. Their catalog's not huge. You're not going to find much for these in terms of the bike finder, but if you do scroll through the stuff that La Rosa has to offer, it should be pretty apparent which stuff's going to be available for your motorcycle. Installation on these, I'm going to call a one bearder, if that. It's probably more like a mustache. Most of this stuff's really easy to affix to your bike. Again, it's fairly universal in nature. For the stuff that's vehicle specific, obviously it's going to work out very well because it was designed for your motorcycle. There's the occasional thing that needs just a little bit of fiddling or finagling to install on a motorcycle. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. So let's kick off with La Rosa leather. I like these guys. So a lot of people don't realize this. Before I started doing the video and common tread thing for RevZilla, I was a lowly parts man here, putting parts onto the website so you guys could go purchase them. And La Rosa was one of the brands I fought for really hard to get onto the site simply because I really liked them. I spent my own money on their stuff. I thought it was exceptionally, a good quality product, and I still feel that exact same way today. Now, La Rosa started back in 1972, long before I ever started hanging stuff on a motorcycle, and they have been making quality leather goods ever since. There's really not all that many things to say about them, but the things that I do have to say about them are really the only things you need to know. Exceptionally thick leather. This stuff is thick enough, you're going to hand this stuff down to your kids, and they may even hand it down to their grandkids. I don't know if any of you guys have seen some of those, really stout leather saddlebags from the 50s and 60s. These are made the exact same way. Awesome stitching, incredible attention to detail on here, and some really cool finishes. You can see, obviously, they've got sort of a crocodile thing going on here. They offer some colored stuff as well. You can see we've got a red saddlebag up here. Coming back to that attention to detail thing, check this thing out. One of my favorite parts here is this little nameplate they put on there. It's just a really quality piece. It's a nice touch. Makes you feel special every time you open the bag. Hardware is chrome-plated brass. This stuff is awesome, super heavy duty. It's going to last forever and ever. Now, this other stuff you can see up here really quickly. I'm just going to give you a quick smattering of what they have in terms of saddlebags, the type of fitments you can expect to see before we move on to tool rolls. Starting down here, we've got a bag specifically for a Sportster. This thing is made in leather. It has a fuel bottle on there. Dyna guys, if you are looking for something, yours is going to look actually really similar to the Sporty model, a little bit bigger, a little bit different fitment, but these things are made to go right onto the motorcycle. You should know these things are available in a couple different options. Obviously, there's a few different finishes up here. There's also canvas available as well. I would say for most of you, leather is probably going to be the star of the show, however. And this fuel bottle back here is an option on nearly every single bag. So if you see a bag you like, it's almost always available both with and without a fuel bottle. The one thing I like is that La Rosa does actually include a fuel bottle, and it's a little bit bigger than your standard camping fuel bottle, so you can get a little bit more fuel in there. Moving down here, you can see a bag, obviously going back to that crocodile thing we were talking about before. This is going to be actually for two very different classes of motorcycle riders. You're going to see this on Softails. These things fit perfectly in that rear triangle. And the other folks who are going to use this is anybody with a rigid frame. So whether you're rocking a 70s CB750, somebody swapped into an Amen Savior frame, or perhaps you've got a very old Harley of your own, this is going to be your bag. So whether you've got a newish Softail or a super old chopper, this is your bag. Moving down to the end here, we've got a fairly universal set of saddlebags. These will work for a lot of you folks, depending on what kind of bike you have. One thing I would note is that you probably want to take some measurements of your motorcycle. Pay attention to the measurements of the bags on the website to make sure that you're getting a set of bags that's appropriate for your motorcycle. I have seen some huge bags on tiny bikes. That looks a little bit weird. It tends to be a little bit worse than the tiny bag on a huge bike sort of a setup. But amazing craftsmanship on these things. The stitching is top notch. The leather is so thick. I mean, it feels like you could pound nails through it. If you're looking for a set of saddlebags, these are the ones I would probably spend my own money on, and I would recommend you guys do the same. Now that we've got saddlebags out of the way, let's talk about tool rolls for just a second. Alrighty, we're moving into tool rolls right now. Before we get into these, I do want to just make one minor point of clarification. You're going to see La Rosa refer to these as tool rolls. I call mine a tool roll. However, what these really are is a tool pouch. Inside here, there is no actual tool roll. These do not roll up. They are stitched on the sides. What this is a pouch to hold things. So what I do with mine is actually take an actual tool roll and stuff it into the pouch. You can also, too, just load your tools right into this thing if you don't mind them clanging and banging around just a little bit. It is a minor point of clarification that you should know about, so there's no surprises when you open up a box. Now, same thing as the luggage here, the construction quality in these things is just out of this world. You'll notice we have a fairly standard brown and black tool roll over here. These are just, your sort of standard tool rolls you'll expect to see on a wide variety of classic and antique motorcycles, as well as some of the modern stuff too. And then over here, of course, you can see that canvas that we talked about earlier. This is a good option for those of you guys who don't want to go through the rigors of breaking in a leather bag. Believe it or not, these things take forever to really kind of break in and develop that lived-in sort of look. These are a little bit thinner, a little bit easier to manage. Again, a great choice for those of you who maybe are not riding your bike in terrible, terrible weather all the time. You don't want to have to worry about actually conditioning the leather. Canvas is a great option. So let's talk installation for just a moment. All of these items are pretty easy. The tool rolls are very self-explanatory. I think for most of you folks, you'll see that the included straps on the rear should be pretty much self-explanatory. You just have to find somewhere to throw this thing onto your motorcycle, make sure it's secured, and you should be good cruising down the road. Now, for those of you who are putting saddlebags in your bike, again, those model-specific ones, Sporty, Dyna, Softail, you guys should have no problem on there. It should be very apparent how these things actually attach to your motorcycle. If you've got two brain cells to rub together, you should be able to figure these out, no sweat. A little creativity goes a long way here. For those of you who are looking at something a little bit more universal, like some of the saddlebags, I would strongly encourage you to make sure that you have saddlebag brackets on your bike. Either use your existing ones if you've already got a set of saddlebags in your bike, make sure they work with what you're buying, or alternatively, you can also purchase a set of universal ones, get something up there, but you want to have some support for the bottom side of the bags. It allows you to tie something to the bags so the bottoms don't flip up when they're empty, and what it also does is it keeps them from kicking into your wheel/chain or belt as the bottoms kick inward when they're loaded down. Just remember that when you're installing your bags. If it's not immediately evident, I really like La Rosa stuff. I spend my own money on this stuff. I actually took the liberty of dragging in my tool roll. This thing has traveled many a mile in the front of a chopper. I've had this thing since I was a kid. Still works like new. Obviously, I neglect this thing a little bit, but it still hangs in there like a champ. Does a great job. Don't take my word for it, though. Click below. See what some other riders who are rocking La Rosa leather on their rigs have to say about it. And if you got some questions that I didn't cover, don't be afraid to get in touch with one of our very friendly gear geeks. See us at RevZilla.com, or of course, you can always pick up the phone, give us a jingle, 877-792-9455. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Lemmy. I'm out of here.